Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and I've got a funny story for you. It's still kind of funny to me, but I'm also like, if I seem a little off right now recording this, let's just say you'll find out why at the end. So maybe it'll stop being funny when I recover. Hold on, I still think I'm gonna go throw up. I'll be right back. Oh no, kept her down there, but anyway, I'm sure you guys are gonna be like, what even is this story? But it's funny for me right now, but I'm also really lightheaded. So you guys know I've been looking for a job because YouTube ain't paying what it used to. Magic's crap. All the Magic channels across the board are down, you know. A couple of my side hustles got kind of ruined by COVID, so it's like, okay, I'll just go back to working for like a couple years, and I gotta put like 15 grand in my basement to fix the foundation real quick, and I could probably use a new car, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to work 2 jobs, whatever. Really shouldn't even affect this channel that much. I'll probably upload about half as often, but that's fine. But basically, I got the interview, and then within like 12 hours, I got the job. Because they actually called me to make sure that I applied for the right job. After looking at my resume, they're like, you do realize that it's this? I'm like, you do realize you're paying above 20 an hour, right? Yeah, I'll do that job. In fact, I'll do it quite well. So I wouldn't call this like a sensitive job, but like I had to do a background check, a drug test, and a blood test. And so I just went for the blood test today. I show up and the nurse, and she sounded familiar on the phone. And then when I got there, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And she's like, hey, aren't you so-and-so's brother? And she's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Me and her brother, and then me and my brother went to school together. Hate to ruin the punchline, but you might have already put 2 and 2 together here. Let me just pause to tell you what a circus this was. So I saw the listing online, so obviously with a job site, so they're kind of, you know, they want their cut, you know, they want their fee to, I don't know, view my resume, finder's fee, whatever the hell they do. Then the job is at a place, and then that place has like a couple companies within it, which is odd. And then they're outsourcing to a staffing contractor who is the one who made the listing, who I had to apply through, and then I had to do the background check, drug test, and blood test with a different contractor because they don't do that. If you're confused right now, then email me and said, we don't have any clinics in your area. Just go find a place that does these, and these blood tests. I'm like, okay. So luckily, the place I found, they're like, we've never even heard of this. Like, this is so unusual. We could do it, but like, what? So they called them up. I should probably explain. I got the email saying you need the following blood tests. I'm like, okay, I have a unique medical history, but that shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't be a problem. And that might, but okay. I'm not paying for the blood test, but it should be fine. Turns out I thought Tdap meant something else. I don't know. I thought like that wasn't tuberculosis. That's just the T. And so I looked up, what is Tdap? Oh, me. It's the DPT vaccine with the letters switched around. I still don't know what the A is. So I'm like, diphtheria, check. Tuberculosis, check. Pertussis. Yeah, I had an allergic reaction when I was 2 months old, was in the hospital, had a fever of 104, almost died from it. So they did not give me the pertussis vaccine. They eliminated that and gave me just DT. It was written 5 times on 2 different forms when I dug out my medical records. My parents had told me that I had an allergic reaction to the MMR vaccine. It turns out what they actually meant was, oh, it was that 3-letter one. I remember it being 3 letters. It must be MMR. Well, it was DPT. So at this point, I already expressed concerns to the testing people and to the contractor that I would fail the MMR test. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to clear the MMR test. Cool, I can actually get this job. Oh, this is fantastic. Good, because I freaking need it. And then I found out what pertussis is. It's whooping cough, by the way. No, the only other real concern I had, by the way, was chickenpox because, and this is going to sound weird, I'm not sure if I had it. No, I wasn't adopted or anything. Oh, I guess I'll tell you this story because it's actually kind of funny. Anybody born after like 2000 is going to be like, you did what? Oh, now my mom's calling me. Oh, okay. We'll get to why I'm pissed off about that after I call her back. What they did back then, keep in mind, this was around the early 90s, not on the Oregon Trail. My cousin caught chickenpox. So let's invite the cousin over and spread it so that you don't have to get the vaccine and don't get it as an adult because it's worse as an adult. Yes, that's what they did back then. Some people still do it, although there's a vaccine now. My advice is do that. So, you know, we played around, had a play date, you know, and shared a cup, and apparently they convinced me to give her a kiss on the cheek. I was 6 years old. I would not normally kiss my cousin. And then both me and my brother had a very severe fever for a while, but never had like the chicken pox, like the skin stuff going on. So we don't know if we caught it or if it's some weird coincidence. So I'm like, okay, because of my past history, and I also had a pretty severe, but not too unusual, not too uncommon from what I heard, reaction to the tetanus vaccine, I just felt like I got hit by a truck, had trouble breathing, swallowing, and walking, and then took the day off and had some Tylenol. So like, okay. But I bet 10 of you are already typing in the comment section, oh yeah, that happened to me. So that's not really an allergic reaction. That's just my immune system being hyper aggressive, and then also like a bad reaction. You know what I mean? So I haven't exactly made a habit of, going to get vaccines like, collecting Pokemon, but I did get the tetanus one when I was like 24, and that's when I had the bad reaction to it. Strangely enough, in the DPT vaccine when I was 2 months old, it was the P that was the problem, not the T. I swear, human immune systems are like the Windows Vista of the biological world. But I'm like, okay, to get this job, if all I gotta do is don't even get me started on why the hell I still have to get a flu shot, a 2021 flu shot in March 1st, but get the chickenpox vaccine. Okay, fine. And then just prove that I did it. Boom, I'm at work. Let's go. But then, like, over the weekend, I'm like, oh, that's what Tdap is. Okay, that's a problem. So and then when I was on the phone with the lab, they were like, we don't normally give that. Are you sure that's needed? Are you sure they don't just want you to go get the vaccine? I'm like, oh, I sure as hell hope not, because I'm not. And I told them, and they're like, oh yeah, don't do that. I'm sending off emails. I'm pissed off. I'm like actually like feeling depressed, which I haven't had those problems in like over a decade, because this is all falling apart. I'm never going to get a job. This sucks. Then they get on the phone. Like, I go to the appointment because I booked the appointment, 10 a.m. I get there, like, we're going to call him. We're just going to clarify this. Oh, please do. Because also they really wanted to call him because they're supposed to bill them, but they're like not in their normal network. I'm like, well, I sure as hell ain't paying you. These tests are like $400. I'm like, no. Wish it was like 1910 where they're like, can you do 10 push-ups, son? As the doctor's smoking in your face. They're like, well, we haven't detected the presence of any ghosts in your blood, so we don't need to do the bloodletting. So go work. You're cleared to work at the asbestos factory, son. So I'm just like, this is going to be bad news. I'm going to walk out of here. And then they get off the phone. They're like, okay, good news. They are like overlooking, or like, I mean, they're probably falsifying the paperwork. Let's be honest. They really need people. But they're willing to overlook just that one. Maybe they have a margin. If I pass everything but that, they'll be like, okay, well, medical exemption for just one. No, that's good enough. It's a temporary contract, for God's sake. They shouldn't have even done the drug test. I could do the work a lot faster on meth. I'm just throwing that out there. So they're like, okay, we can do all the blood tests all at once. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, just FYI, how much blood is that? They're like 3 vials. I'm like, ooh. Last time I had 3 vials drawn for some kind of test, it was, I don't know. Oh, yes, when I was 17. I was fine. And then like 8 minutes later in the pharmacy, I was like, I gotta sit down. And then I took the express route to the sit down. Because I've always had blood pressure issues, and that was actually a pretty high blood volume. So they took my blood pressure, and it was like 90/52. I'm like, that's not enough. But hey, 40 pounds heavier, and a bunch of years later, I'm like, I should be fine. I actually took my blood pressure before I left. It was 123/83, which, if anything, is borderline unhealthy. So I'm like, I should be fine. 3 vials. I looked at the vials. I'm like, come on. I could probably donate blood if I wanted at this point. Well, no, as it turns out, they took the blood, everything went fine. No problems. I obviously don't mind the sight of blood at all. I don't even understand why that bothers people. Not a fan of needles, but like, I don't know. I went and got the Hep A shot like 2 years ago, and I was fine. I'm like, okay, needle, prick in the arm, just don't look at it, whatever. And just try to stay calm, concentrate on something else, and don't be a little bitch. Look, heights, spiders, and needles, okay? Anything else, public speaking even, I'm fine. So they get done. They're like checking the vials, doing all this. Oh, you want to grab your coat? And then I'm just like, I'm feeling a little lightheaded. She's like, oh, here, drink this ginger ale. I start slamming ginger ale. And then next thing I know, I'm like, my brain doesn't work. I can't talk. Why are my eyes not open? What? Why am I sweating? What just happened? I wake up. 2 people are there. I'm like, oh, I bet I know what happened. That was awfully quick. I warned him ahead of time. I just say I got weird blood pressure spikes and crap, and just weird stuff with my kidneys and salt and caffeine and water and everything. Sometimes weird stuff happens when I get blood drawn, okay? And they're like, that's surprisingly common, actually. But now remember, this is somebody I went to school with for like 7 years. I know their family. I think our moms are friends. So I'm out. Oh, guess what else? Her husband works there. So I got to meet him. He pops his head in. He's like, hey, here to help you to walk to the other room. We want you to lay down, and we don't have a couch in here. And I'm just like, oh, hey, how's the family? Nice to meet you. Oh, that's so cute that you two work here together. I can't feel my lips. They're like, you are like crazy pale. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's, hook me up with a second ginger ale, lay down for 5 minutes. I'll be fine. So an hour later, I was able to sit up. The whole time I'm texting my mom. I'm like, I know she had an appointment from 9 to 11. It's 11:10 when I first got to the room. She knew I was going in for this. She was there the last time I got blood drawn, and then 10 minutes later I passed out in the pharmacy or whatever. So we all agreed I was super not okay to drive. I'm still not. I'm a little lightheaded just recording this. I got up from my chair when, the contractor called, by the way. So I stood up to grab the phone and to answer it, got really lightheaded, sat back down, and I'm like, what, huh? He's like, did I just wake you up? And I'm like, no, even though technically yes. Just kind of fuzzing out, just kind of graying out for a second there. And I'm like, did word get back to them already about what happened? I'm like, can they even disclose that? The results won't even be until tomorrow. He's just like, hey, just following up. Did you work out something with the blood test? It's already Tuesday. You know, the physician wants to move on this. I'm like, oh, yeah, we got it done. Did you hear what happened? He's like, no. And I'm like, oh, no, we got them all done. Yeah. Should be passing them all. He's like, yeah, I heard something about allergies and exemptions and like something might be a problem. And I'm like, yeah, they actually agreed to overlook it. He's like, oh, okay. I know, I'm surprised. Like, usually a hard requirement is a hard requirement, you know, but I'm thinking they were just like, wait. If he fails the pertussis antibody titer or whatever it's called, the first thing we're going to do is request him to go get the vaccine that he already had an allergic reaction to and almost died from. That smells like a lawsuit. Oh, before I forget the best part, right after I passed out, I bit my tongue, and then that was bleeding. So they had to go get all the PPE and disinfect the room, and then they were actually behind on people because I was taking up the other room, and then they were disinfecting the main room. So they actually didn't have any rooms left. They're like turning people away, like, hey, can you come back at like noon or something? Like, did I mention I know the nurse and her husband works there? I never thought I'd say this, but I'm kind of glad HIPAA and medical privacy is a thing. Because they can't talk about it. So anyway, I lied about somebody picking me up and then took an Uber. They didn't want me to do that because they said, what if you pass out in the Uber? I'm like, dude, I drive for Uber. We're all cool. We're bros, man. We'll get it. But at that point, really, I just did like enough exercises. And then when I started getting lightheaded standing up, I would just compress my abs really hard like they do in the, the fighter pilots to force the blood into your brain. Had to do that a couple times. Turns out I had to walk around the whole building to get into my, the Uber when it was there, and I'm like, yeah, I can barely walk a straight line. I know for a fact there's steps on the way back up, but I mean, if you think I'm paying the fee after that 2-minute, grace period for the pickup time, I don't have the job yet. Let's not start counting the unnecessary 50-cent fees before the chickens hatch, you know what I mean? Oh, so while I'm sitting on the table checking my phone, texting everybody that I know doesn't work, which is like nobody. I got like 200 contacts on my phone and they're like all at work. My brother's like 2 hours away. He lives down the street. He's just, he travels for work, so that's nice. I was like, somebody get me the hell out of here. Why is my mom, her phone better be on the bottom of the Marianas Trench, I swear to God. So I get the relatively overpriced Uber home. Still give him a tip because the guy was super cool. I told him I was going to drive for Uber today, but like, haha, lightheaded after a blood test, and now I'm not okay to drive for a while. My car's there. He's like, oh, yeah, it sucks. Hey, did you know it's Fat Tuesday? I'm like, damn it. That is bar runs all day, every day, dude. If I'm okay to drive by like 4 o'clock, your boy's out there. Okay, this is like our like day. So I'm either gonna be driving for Uber or I'm gonna be live streaming Arena really f***ed up and lightheaded. Either one's gonna be probably pretty entertaining. So they're like, okay, just drink, something with electrolytes, a lot of water, maybe Gatorade, Powerade, and some sugar. Literally do not have any of those things other than water in my house. I'm not even kidding. I have nothing with sugar. I'm trying to lose weight. I don't buy desserts. I don't eat desserts. So I eventually got my mom to run me over some cookies and pick up the 2 things I had going to the post office. And, while I was sitting on the bed, I was on the phone and I sold with my other company. Let's see. It was weird. I just did an ad campaign last night on Facebook. This is a fairly hot item right now. It's a little bit in shortage, but so is everything. I sold, just in that hour, like since my head hit the medical bed thing, 247 pounds of inventory. Yeah, the orders were coming in. I double checked when I got home how up the things I was typing were, because it took a couple tries. I wasn't all there, you guys. I actually did a pretty good job. Hooray for spell check. Because, if somebody's like, hey, we'd like to place a fairly large order if you still have the inventory for our business, just kind of stocking up. And then they get a Facebook Messenger back that's just like, that's what they call a customer relations failure. So now I got to get up, pack it all up. I think the first delivery is tomorrow, the next one's Thursday, and I got it delivered on the way to my niece's birthday party. And I still got to get her a present, and I still got to probably fill out a W-2. Oh my God, this all sucks. It's the worst week ever. But, you know what? I'm going back to sleep. I ate my cookies, I drank my water. I just realized that liquid IV, which I obviously have around because, prepper, and some electrolyte tablets from Noon. Good shit. That's basically Gatorade. That's the whole point of Gatorade. That's why they told me to drink it. So why don't I just drink my electrolyte mix? It's got electrolytes. It's what plants need. I'm going to go get that other 4 hours of sleep I need that I didn't get last night. So, okay, silver linings. I convinced them not to call the paramedics because that would have been expensive. They were quite insistent, but so was I. I didn't pass out on the way to the Uber. Hooray. Didn't pass out in the Uber. Oh, and I was riding for Uber on my driver account, basically. That's a thing. So, yeah, I would have been fired immediately. Like, just types in, had to cancel a trip, this guy died or something. Boop, send feedback. And the other silver lining is I might still get the job. Hooray. Also, I didn't have to pay for any of the tests. So, the moral of the story is there even one? I don't know. Don't be me. Don't have a weird, like, I'm immune to Novocaine. I'm allergic to ibuprofen. I'm allergic to some types of silicone, probably butylene glycol. I have the genetic variation that 1 in 700 people do in my lungs that prevents me from absorbing nitrous. So every time they try to knock me out with nitrous, it doesn't work. That was a fun combination of things when I got my wisdom teeth pulled. I had no joke PTSD after that. Oh, I know the moral of the story. Don't go get a blood test at 10 in the morning after getting 5 hours of sleep without pre-gaming on beef jerky and other salty snacks and like 64 ounces of Gatorade. There you go. And boy, if something comes up and I don't get this job, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be a little irked if I don't pass the chickenpox varicella or whatever test. So whatever. Probably go get the flu shot and fucking die, knowing my unique biology. So anyway, that's today's story. I do have another actual magic related video coming up. It's gonna be 2 robberies, one in Canada, one in America, and we got the footage and might have already been a lead on one of them. So I gotta do a little more research once I can see straight. I can't imagine how quality the editing is going to be with this one. Leave a like anyway, and I'll see you guys next time.